Back at it. What's up? What's up?
Hello, sir. Welcome.
How you doing? Welcome,
Good to see you.
Yeah, so we're gonna have some fun today. We got a couple new Gemini Ultra VO3 videos welcoming us to the show that I'll show in just one moment here. Got some new music to fill our background.
Fantastic. Got a little Suno action.
That was, yeah. They just relaunched a new one actually. It looks like a step up, and I think it's always been
version
sharp.
3.
4.5, I think I want to say is
nice.
the latest. So, and then the thing that just popped up when I was messing with it this morning was you can bring up to an 8-minute track of your own in there, and then start using it to mix and master your own tracks and add extra AI elements to that. So,
I wonder when they would have done that, because the last time I played with it, probably a few weeks ago, you could bring in your own tracks, but it was kind of funky. It wasn't really work using it well. But yeah, I'm glad to hear that. I can't wait to play with it.
All right, so we got a couple things coming up today. So let's just have our new introduction for today.
Welcome to AI and Coffee. Let's dive into the C.R.A.F.T framework and supercharge grassroots do-goodery.
All right, so we got our cyborg buddy there. Yeah, our Larry or whoever that might be is going to be giving us a little intro here to the C.R.A.F.T framework, which is your topic for today. So jumping right over.
Yeah, so what I want to do today, instead of doing our normal, hey, let's look at the news, let's look at an example, let's just jump right into some practical prompting advice. I get a lot of questions for that. So this is what's called the C.R.A.F.T framework. I always think it's interesting, but it's helpful to have a framework when you think about generative AI. What's your framework for prompting? Instead of just create this like this or now change it, I think if we start with a framework, it helps us to get better results from generative AI. So to handle complex projects, you need to give it a blueprint. So C.R.A.F.T stands for context, provide the background and the why. What does AI need to know to understand the goal? The R stands for role. Then go to assign a specific expert persona. Who should the AI be? And we're going to give an example here in a second. The A is action. Use a clear, strong verb for the primary task. What should the AI do? The F is then give it a format. So specify the structure of the output. How should the information be organized? An example would be like bullet points, a draft, or JSON code, or a table. And then the T stands for tone. Lastly, define the desired voice and style. How should it sound? Should it be formal? Should it be comical, empathetic, motivational, etc.? So the next, just looking at the C.R.A.F.T framework based on an example prompt we're going to look at here for a minute, just to go over it again. Context, provide the background, why the project matters. Role, assign a specific expert. A, use a clear verb, define the task. Format, give it how you want it to be structured when you get the output. And then tone, define the desired voice and style. So I work a lot with educational organizations and things like that, in addition to my business clients. But the prompt structure here is we're going to use the C.R.A.F.T structure to ensure that all the essential elements are included. So the example I'm going to give you demonstrates how to structure a complete prompt using the C.R.A.F.T. So that slide that says context component on top, let's start with that. So we're gonna develop a practical entry-level AI certification course for K through 12 school administrators. So that's the prompt. That's what we want the output to be. So let's give it that context. Who's the target audience? All right. K through 12 school administrators who may be skeptical or overwhelmed by AI. That's what we're building it for. The course goals. This is all in the context. We're going to build understanding to reduce fear. And the delivery format, 3 60-minute asynchronous modules with real-world scenarios. So the context is the goal, build foundational understanding of general AI. The course will be delivered in 3 60-minute synchronous modules supported by real-world scenarios and educator-specific use cases. Okay, so that's the context here. Then we're going to get to the role. Okay. The role is you are an expert instructional designer. This is the persona you're giving the AI. You're an expert instructional designer with expertise in adult learning, ed tech integration, and school leadership development. Why is this important? Because it defines the AI's persona. It specifies the relevant expertise that it needs to pull from its corpus of knowledge. And it really creates that authoritative, knowledgeable response. Okay, so that's the role. The next one is A, action. Design a draft outline for 3 module courses, including learning objectives, key topics, and 1 to 2 engaging activity ideas per module. Okay, what did we just do? We used a clear verb, design, to specify the primary task. And it defines the deliverable in the draft outline, and it sets the scope and the boundaries, and it gives it some specifics. Okay. And then we're going to move to the format. This is the F and T. We're going to say organize the output in a clean table with columns for module numbers, title, learning objectives, topics covered, and activity ideas. And what did we just do? We gave it structure. We said table format, clear columns. And then the last one is T, tone. Professional, clear, and encouraging. Assume the reader is smart but not tech savvy. Use language that builds trust and confidence. Why did we do that? Because we gave it a professional, clear, and encouraging voice. We said that the audience receiving it was smart, but not necessarily tech savvy. And then we gave it an emotional goal. The goal was to build trust and confidence. So that's why we build those things into the tone. And so what I just did was I took the C.R.A.F.T framework and built all the elements of a really good prompt. And we can put a link to this, or if someone's interested in getting this little deck, I'll be happy to send it to them. So just reach out to us. So don't want to take a lot of time, but that's the
I dig it.
C.R.A.F.T.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the C.R.A.F.T format. If you kind of stay with that, that will work for most prompts that you want to create.
Yeah, I used to use the role task format. I think that was one of the earlier prompt
Yeah,
frameworks, and this seems like a bit more of um, a all-in-one comprehensive framework, so that you don't have to do too many iterations of it. And the tone component, I actually am going to start using this because I do that sometimes after I get the output, and I'm like, not exactly the tone I was looking for. But if I do it from the beginning, again, time savings, and having the 3 aspects of voice characteristics, audience consideration, and emotional goal, I think that takes it a step further. I think that that's great. So I'll be using this like crazy. This is great.
awesome. What you got?
Excellent. All right. So on my end, I'm just going to minimize yours here. So upcoming, well, let's just give you a little background here. The last, I don't know, 2 weeks have been insanity in the Ryan household. We are volunteers like you wouldn't believe, related to all things elementary school, dances, whatever. Like I've been the resident DJ for the dances, getting recognized downtown, which is just hilarious by
Of
this
course you are.
fake DJ name by kids and stuff like that. And then from there, that's all led to, graduation party, all these things. I'm doing recap videos. So we've been, fully busy as a family in that way. And then we're at this weekend, which is a little bit more chill, but we're leading into what's going to be the C.R.A.F.T National Conference. So C.R.A.F.T is the nonprofit we support primarily as a family. It's also what the nonprofit that supports kids like my son who have a super rare disease called juvenile dermatomyositis. And then with that, I'm the DIY family fundraising chair, and I've got a few sessions at the national conference in Chicago. Um, and one of them, I'm going to be focused on supercharging grassroots do-goodery with AI. And the idea around it is to create a workshop where we make it simple. So I'll probably incorporate the C.R.A.F.T framework into that as well too, but make it as simple as possible for um, the other families that are looking to have their impact accelerated. So this is the guide for impact acceleration. Lead with heart, build with AI, a practical guide for do-gooders ready to scale impact. And the idea around it is basically you start with your North Star, hey, there's a lot of us out there that are all trying to, maximize the impact of doing good in the world. So what better time than now to really accelerate that? I mean, you've got so many tools now. You've got so much access to social media, and people are really looking for ways to help and contribute and drive impact and collaborate. And these tools can do so many things that can help us, kind of turn our ideas into reality, but also take away some of the overwhelm that I think a lot of folks feel. Because you're out there, you're working full time, you got kids, maybe you got a kid who actually has a rare condition or a challenging health need. You've got fundraising you want to do for that, impact you want to have across getting that word out there in a big way. It's a lot to juggle. So
Sure.
bring in your AI copilot, and your AI copilot's going to be able to help you streamline that vision, come up with your own personal North Star, carry that mission with you everywhere. Because I know a lot of us have that like internalized kind of like, compass, if you will, that you're following. But to have that
Sure.
built into the memories of, say, a chat GPT project, or pick your, AI of choice, and then bring that together with, okay, well, now that I have the vision, let's talk it through with the AI tools so I can really just get to a point where I can say, okay, yep, that's right. That's exactly the vision I want to execute on. Now, how do I do that with, you plus other tools? And then let it tell you what's going to happen next. And you can actually use a few different, I call them mega prompts, but basically it's not just because the context window is so large now that you can actually give it, rather than this back and forth, hey, now create this for me, now create that for me. You can say, hey, let's do this all in sequence, and just make sure that along the way, keep checking in with me that what we're creating together is still on brand to the vision. And you'd be blown away with what you can create just with, walking the dog with a earpiece in. And so this is a guide to basically how to do that. How do you want to amplify your voice? You want to share a powerful story. You want to promote a nonprofit or a campaign. You want to host a unique event. You want to speak to the media, go on the news. I know that's terrifying for some people, And in other ways, it's also a force multiplier for getting your word out there, your message and your story. Talking to, this is probably one that I would definitely need a lot of help with, talking to political leaders and other folks that are like in prominent positions to help impact that change. And then just how to grow your own network too. So this is the quick and easy guide for that. Also, I thought, this would be a good way to also choose your own adventure based on your own experience. Hey, are you a beginner, intermediate, or advanced related to your knowledge and use cases of the tools already? And then if so, based on that, here are the different ways that you can share your story from a beginner, intermediate, or advanced, background as well too. And then it just goes right through it. So thought this would be a useful guide for anyone out there. Again, I can share this with the greater community, and if anyone's interested in collaborating, happy to do so. I'm going to be doing that and helping out some other folks that I work closely with. But this really would work for anybody, no matter what you're working on.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I love the step by step. I think a lot of people that I talk to, at least, and I'm sure you do too, they just want to know where to get started and how to use these tools. I think there's a lot of misinformation around what AI is and what it isn't, specifically in the generative AI world. And so, we're seeing all kinds of articles, and maybe on our next episode, Luke, we can address them. But there's a couple articles that came out this week about the way it's positioned is that AI is making more people stupid, right?
Yep,
So
I saw that. Yeah.
it's really kind of misleading when I see things like what you've put together here that actually, like you said, accelerate, allow you to do good, and take off that cognitive load. So I would recommend, if anybody's watching this, whatever format you're watching it, whether it's on LinkedIn or Facebook, and you want either of this information that I've shared or what Luke's just shared on do-goodery, just send us a note in the comments below, and we'll be happy to get that to you.
Awesome. Very good. Well, let's wrap for today. And
Awesome.
even though I was talking do-goodery, I've got a pretty whacked out one to have us as an exit outro here. Of
A scary one.
Yeah, exactly. Of a demon doing the same intro that the cyborg did. So let's end with that one. Let's see you, man. Until next time.
See ya.
Welcome to AI and Coffee. Let's dive into the C.R.A.F.T framework and supercharge grassroots do-goodery.